The scene is a quiet kitchen at 6 a.m. A 10-year-old boy stands on a stool, carefully packing a lunchbox for his younger sister and checking her backpack for the day ahead. His parents are still asleep, exhausted from late shifts or buried under the weight of their own struggles. He doesn't ask for help. He doesn't even think to. He simply does it all himself. To his teachers, he is the perfect student, always on time, homework completed, never a moment of trouble. They tell his parents how lucky they are to have such a responsible child. But this isn't just independence, it is premature independence. While other kids are playing, he is worrying about the house and the bills. He has learned a difficult lesson far too early. If he doesn't do it, it won't get done. When a child has to take care of themselves or their family members too early, psychologists call this parentification. This describes a situation where the roles are flipped. The child becomes the parent, and the adults are either absent or unable to do their jobs. In this environment, independence is not a choice, it is survival driven. When a child realizes that the grown ups in their life are unreliable, their brain makes a quick decision to stay safe. It thinks, it isn't safe to need people. Needing people leads to disappointment. I will take care of everything myself. This is where the hyper independent personality begins. To the outside world, these people look like superheroes. They are the ones who work 3 jobs without complaining and say, I'm fine, even when their world is falling apart. However, this independence is actually a shield. It is a way to keep the world at a distance so they never have to feel vulnerable or let down again. To grow up that fast, a child has to do something very difficult. They have to turn off their feelings. If a child spent their time crying because they were tired or scared, they wouldn't be able to finish the chores or look after their siblings. To survive, the brain practices emotional suppression. This is like putting feelings in a freezer and locking the door. You stop feeling needy so you can keep working. The problem is that you cannot just freeze the bad feelings, you end up freezing the good ones too. As adults, people who grew up too early often feel numb. They find it hard to show love or ask for a hug because they treat their emotions like a weakness. In their mind, needing someone else is the same as being a helpless child again, which is the scariest thing they can imagine. When a child grows up in a home that feels out of control, they often become obsessed with control mechanisms. This is why many hyper independent people are also perfectionists. If they can control every tiny detail of their day, they feel safe. This need for control affects how they connect with others. Many develop an avoidant attachment style, which means they pull away when people get too close. If someone tries to help them, they get nervous and itchy. They think, if someone else does it, they might do it wrong, or they might see that I am struggling. For these individuals, help feels like a threat to their safety rather than a kindness. It might seem like being hyper independent is a sign of great courage, but it is often fear wearing a suit and tie. The core of this behavior is a deep fear of vulnerability. Vulnerability is the risk of letting someone see the messy, tired, and imperfect parts of who you are. For most people, vulnerability is how we make friends and find love. But for the kid who grew up too early, vulnerability feels like a trap. They worry that if they show weakness, people will take advantage of them or leave. They keep their independence turned up to 100%, handling everything alone. This leads to a very lonely life. You can be in a room full of people who love you and still feel alone because you aren't letting them actually touch your life. You are managing them instead of connecting with them. We need to change how we look at independence. Being able to do things yourself is a great skill, but being unable to let others help is a prison. Real strength isn't doing it all alone. Real strength is being brave enough to be seen. It takes courage to do a task by yourself, but it takes even more courage to look at a friend and say, I'm having a really hard day. Can you just sit with me? When you allow someone to help you, you aren't being weak. You are giving that person a gift. You are giving them the chance to be a real friend. Allowing yourself to be small for a moment is the only way to grow into a healthy, happy adult. The journey for those who grew up too fast is about learning how to be a child again, no matter how old they are. It is about learning that you are valuable even when you aren't being useful. You don't have to earn your place on this planet by solving everyone's problems or winning every award. If you were a kid like Leo, you did a great job taking care of everyone. You were very brave. But the war you were fighting is over now. You can finally rest. You can let someone else carry the heavy bags for a while. Reclaiming your life means realizing that you are allowed to have needs and you are allowed to let people meet them. Think about one small thing you usually do all by yourself. This week, try to ask one person for a tiny bit of help with it. Does it make your heart race, or do you feel a little bit lighter? Share your thoughts on how it feels to let someone in. Would you like me to help you think of small ways to start trusting others with tasks?